What is up, everybody? Welcome into episode 71 of the Brahmas Bullpen. We're back home in Cow Pasture Studios. Sorry about the travel last week. I do apologize, but we're going to make it up to you tonight, because we got tons of video, tons of highlight. As you know, the Brahmas game didn't go exactly perfect for us, but you can see the scores here. Brahmas 23-26. The good news is it was a very, very, very competitive game. We'll get into it. We'll break it all down, and we'll do a little preview for the DC game. We got a little bit of Brahma news. Since the last time we spoke, there's been all kinds of crazy stuff happening there at the coaching staffs for the Brahma. We'll go over that. But before we go any further, let's just go over these games we've got right here. Producer, the Friday night game, the snooze fest that was a Friday night game. The Arlington Renegades going to Protector Stadium there in Birmingham, Alabama. 9-10, man. What'd you think about that game?
I'd say it was underperforming. Probably more so on Birmingham, but it was like you said, snooze fest. Not a great game to watch.
I wish we would have played that Arlington team. That's all I'm saying. Like, for some reason, and we'll have some stats later, and we'll talk about how many points the Brahmas are giving up, but it's like, I guess the Brahmas talked so much about having the number one scoring defense. Realistically, Wade Phillip mentions it all last season. He mentioned it through the offseason, mentioned it at the start of this season. It's like everybody heard us talk about having the number one scoring defense, and we're getting like everybody's A game. It's like they're Super Bowl against us, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. I wish we would have played that team. Absolutely.
Other than that, every other game was super entertaining this past weekend. Houston going to Memphis. The only thing about this game that sucked, which is surprising because Houston was in it, but the only thing that sucked was the crowd. We'll show attendance numbers in a minute. What a horrible showing by the crowd on Memphis. On TV, the field looked beautiful. The stadium looked nice. The weather looked like it was like perfect. And you could probably get into the stadium for free by the time the second quarter got there because like nobody in there. I mean, go in there and pay your $20, dude. But it was a very, very entertaining game. And I will tell you, if CJ doesn't start Henderson for the rest of the season, I don't know what the heck's going on in Houston.
Yeah. What do we got to do to get fans in the stands here? I agree with that. And as far as Showboats, wish they would have played a little bit better. I was anticipating that they would win that game. But Houston, give them credit. They played a great game, particularly on defense. Love what they're doing. So, a great effort on their part.
We're going to talk a ton about the Brahmas. Brahmas 23-26. That's a closer score in my mind, realistically, than what the game actually was. We had a big pick six. We got that video coming up. And we had a chance to kick a field goal at the end and tie the game and go into overtime. It was a very competitive game. The score's a little closer. If we hadn't got that pick six and a couple things go our way, we might have lost by a greater margin there. But, hey, we broke the 23-point barrier.
Hey, better than the previous two games, nine a game for each one.
Yeah.
Panthers, they're not a pushover team. They got a pretty good team. I mean, they've won 2 out of the first 3 games. So to be able to get 23 on them, I'm really happy with the improvements that the Brahmas have made in that game.
Yeah, I think the Panthers are basically, well, not basically. I think in my mind, they're the favorites to win the USFL conference as of now. Going on to the next game, the DC Defenders versus the Battlehawks. Everybody was infatuated with the Battlehawks after their first 2 games. And then they go in, DC goes into the Battle Dome. I just love it when other teams go into the Battle Dome and you got all the best fans, which nothing but respect, but going to the Dome with the most fans, 30,000+ every week, it seems like, and go in there and give them that L, man, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, what a game, and what DC did, of course, we'll show some of that later as well as we get into next week's prediction. But what DC did, what a team, man. Complete team. I'm a little disappointed in what St. Louis was able to do against them. But as you mentioned, the fan support there, a great environment. So it was a nice game.
Yeah. It was good to watch on TV.
Yeah.
The fact the last 3 games, were good TV games. Memphis would have just had more fans in the stadium, it would have been perfect. The weather just looked so nice on TV. I'll tell you another thing about the Brahmas. We're going to play DC next week. We're going to preview that game here. But, man, we really do need a dadgum home game just to kind of change the mojo. But we got to go on one more road trip to DC before we get a home game. We're going to go ahead and just get into the episode. If I forgot to mention it, we are coming to you from the Cow Pasture, from Cow Pasture Studio. On behalf of United Football Media, thanks for tuning in. Always like, share, subscribe. We have our attendance numbers here from the weekend, always reported by Mike Mitchell. I'll tell you what, Mike Mitchell's attendance posts come out like clockwork on these games. So he's getting these figures. Now, he always has to explain every week, these are tickets sold, not people in the stadium. So we got the Friday night game, 10,126. I don't think Birmingham is getting the support that they should be getting in Birmingham. They are the 3-time champions. They were a hub city. And after 3 years and 3 championships, they're still only getting 10,000 down there. I have no idea what that's about. Memphis, garbage. 4,700, total disrespect for Memphis football fans. Go to the damn games. Michigan, that's very respectful. Their average is going up slightly from what it was last year. You don't need ginormous increase, but you definitely need marginal increase. And of course, there's St. Louis, GOAT fans of the league, 30,000 plus, average of 13,976. That needs to go up. But you'd have to get 100,000 St. Louis fans in there to make up for the 4,700 Memphis fans. What do you think?
Just in regards to Memphis and Birmingham, what do you got to do to get fans? Memphis, you got a decent team. I understand, but 4,700. Come on,
crazy.
guys, show up. Birmingham, you got out of everybody every reason in the world to support that team. And I know there's a decent population base there. So what are y'all doing, guys? Isn't that a football state? What are y'all doing? I don't get it.
Nobody will ever get it. They're one of the most annoying fan bases. The St. Louis Battlehawks fan base are the most annoying, but that's just because there's a lot of them. Birmingham fan base is annoying because they win all the time, but their fans still suck.
Yeah, if they were losing, they may be worse than Memphis.
Could you imagine? If they hadn't won 3 champions? They'd have 1,500 in that stadium.
Yeah.
And the other thing, dude, these guys with their shirts off over there, like, to me, it's whatever, dude. It's cool. You can take your shirt off if you want. But what I'm saying is there's only 10,000 of you in there. And when, half of you take your shirts off, you do really look like some podunk hick stuff going on. I'm literally I live in a cow pasture, and I look at those guys thinking, man, these are some podunk fools over there.
It is Alabama.
I guess, man. Stop dating your cousins. Go to a football game. Anyways, let's get into it. All right, this is the Brahma Bullpen, and we will focus on Brahma news. And one of the craziest things happened. We've had the other teams. We had the DC head coach leave, the DC defensive coordinator leave. We had the Memphis head coach leave, the Memphis head coach come back. There's been all this crazy stuff. And San Antonio is not without its own coaching controversy. So San Antonio Brahmas offensive coordinator, the wonder boy, A.J. Smith, Mr. AI Technology, A.J. Smith, a master of the spread, A.J. Smith, resigned due to a disagreement, according to Greg Luca. This is an article from the San Antonio Express News by Greg Luca from April 10th, so just this past week. And it's pretty crazy. Says AJ resigned. And a week into training camp, Phillips pushed to go to a more run-first offense with more heavily use of the tight ends. You also notice that the Brahmas signed an extra tight end 2 weeks ago. So, you can kind of see where the difference is coming. One of the things is McFarland was just not touching the ball. And if anybody watched the game Sunday, McFarland is the most electric person we have on offense. He did so well playing the game that he made Kellen Mond better, period. But, man, we definitely need McFarland in there. One of the things to think about is, Party, who's taking over offensive coordinator, play calling duties, has an extensive relationship with Coach Wade Phillips. And just while I'm talking about it, if you want more information on that, go to UnitedFootballMedia.com. I'm putting out a written article every week, just kind of talking about the whole league with a little bit of a Brahmas twist. And I kind of highlight the history between the Party family and the Phillips family. So if you want more information on that, go to UnitedFootballMedia.com. Look for the article there. But what do you think about this coaching change?
Well, anytime there's a change, especially in the middle of the season like this, and this is a very short season, you don't really want to see that. It's to a disadvantage of the team. However,
Debatable.
However, I wish A.J. Smith the best in whatever he does moving forward. But I will say, this week, whatever changes were made behind the scenes, we did see more electric play. We saw McFarland touch the ball more, and we saw the effects of that. The offense looked better overall. And Party, he handled himself very well. He looked prepared. He didn't look like things were over him. He didn't look like he was stressed in the situation. He looked prepared. He handled things in a very well manner. So I got to say, I give it to him in what he was able to accomplish. It stinks that we didn't win the game. But what I saw so far out of the one game sample that we have, I really like what we have so far. And I hope it continues moving forward.
Yeah, I didn't see any glaring clock management. I didn't see any plays where I yelled at the TV, like, what are you doing? Like, we had plays called the previous two games where I was like, what are you thinking? Like, and, focusing on the run game made everything else work better. One of the cool things that came of it is they promoted Party to offensive coordinator. They made Coach Thompson, who was the running back coach, the special teams coach, but they brought in Cody Latimer to be the tight end and wide receiver coach, which for me personally, that's freaking awesome because I've talked about him extensively on this channel. He's one of my favorite dudes from the XFL Conference Championship team last year. And I'm going to duck my head. We've talked about the football. Cody Latimer gave me that football signed by the whole team. So personally, I'm very happy that he got into coaching. He had spoken about wanting to get into coaching before. And so the opportunity presented itself. So pretty awesome, man, that we got our own player to coach legacy. Yeah. Player to coach legacy, which is pretty daggum cool for a team that's only been existing for 3 years.
Yeah. And one of the things I appreciate him being back with the Brahmas, and I think he's going to be such a valuable asset moving forward. I look forward to seeing the improvements he makes. But one of the things that you also mentioned, I just want to touch on clock management. We saw, particularly in game one, a real struggle with clock management, and there was no issues that I recall in game three against Michigan with clock management. It was one of the areas that was really improved.
So you just wanted to reiterate that when I said clock management was good, that you also thought clock management was good?
Yeah, I guess you could put it that way.
What other way would you put it?
No, I just want to emphasize that was a great area much improvement.
So that 2 minutes could have just been like, I agree with this guy. I like the clock management. Cool.
I think you just love giving me crap. Let's go on.
Love's a strong word. I don't know about love.
Okay.
Now, do I like giving you crap? Absolutely. All right, so now we're gonna get into game highlights, and we got videos because I'm back home and I got internet and I'm not traveling across the whole daggum state. So let's watch a great catch by our number one wide receiver.
Turning around is first big play on third down. Here's time for Monsails one deep.
Jinx myself.
Twisting and turning around is Jacob Harris, who makes the grab, and Mon down the field, showing nice accuracy.
Other than the drops, but watch him adjust to this ball. Mon almost got hit there too.
He's had some really good catches.
He's had some really bad drops too, but I'm happy to see him taking that next step. Later on in that drive, we got our first points of the game, so we're going to show that to you.
36-yard attempt coming from Donald De La Haye, a.k.a. Destroying. YouTube following tremendous. Instagram, it's there
crazy
as well.
They show us
Great
YouTube
to see him
and
back on the
Instagram
field.
stats on the game?
And he has
Side
been
note,
outstanding
no
now,
pressure.
3 for 4 this season. The Brahmas strike first on the road in search of their first victory here in 2020.
Go up 3-0, looking good. We held them to 2 punts in their first 2 drives, which was pretty awesome. And we had some pretty good defensive plays going. We got a hit on their starting quarterback, Etling. Hurt him, put him out of the game.
Probably the worst mistake they made.
We
That
probably helped them
yeah.
because we literally made it to where they had to play their best quarterback. But a lot of people said the hit was dirty. There was a couple hits they said that were dirty. I don't know, man. If you're a quarterback and you're outside the pocket and you're trying to get everything that you can get, if you're trying to get everything that you could get as a quarterback, how can you say it's dirty for a defender to try to get everything they could get? I don't get it. Like, they're trying to put a hit on that quarterback to rattle him. That's their job. If the quarterback doesn't want to get hit, go out of bounds or stay in the pocket. I mean, I don't know. I watched the replay. It was definitely shoulder pad contact. Bodies are moving. It's bang bang. I don't know, but
Let these guys play football, man.
But Mosley made some good plays. There's also a good play here. Check this out.
Play now for Michigan. His first possession. Etling's going to keep it now. Throw it on the RPO, and it's incomplete. Picatinny was open for a moment. Jordan Mosley able to get a couple of...
I mean, the defense just played lights out compared to what they played the last 2 games. I don't have a clip of the hit, but go Google it. It's worth a watch. I think it was a good hit. And it wasn't just our defense, man. You know, there's 3 facets to every game. We started off hot. Our offense scored. Of course, we would rather have touchdowns 3 times, 3 field goals. And then our special teams. Watch this.
On the low red zone.
And that was textbook spy work right there. We see it go wrong so many times. That's exactly the way it should operate.
BT Potter has the field goal blocked, and the Brahmas pick it up. Bo Peep Keys, the rejection at the line of scrimmage, and San Antonio with a burst.
Nice play. He ain't no Jake Bates kicking it. I'll tell you that.
Ooh, shots fired. Hey, and then we went down there and got a field goal, right? It would have been nice if we'd have got a touchdown there, but, you know, you're going to get the points when you can get the points, and I get it. But let's go on to talk about McFarland. McFarland was a focal point of the game plan, obviously.
Which he needs to be.
Yeah. Obviously, that was Phillips saying get McFarland the ball, and AJ's like, no, I want to keep chunking it wide, and here we are with Party calling plays. But check out this run up the middle.
Kellen Mond, former A&M great hand. Oh, there's all kinds of room. McFarland, a big-time play, rumbling into Michigan territory.
Wouldn't it be nice? We saw that every game this season.
I mean, we definitely would have
touching the ball like that.
Yeah, definitely been nice to see more than 9 points. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
We'll actually get into some of the stats, but the Brahmas are actually leading the league in yards per rush. So you might have some opinion like we haven't ran the ball the first 2 games, like somebody in here, but we actually been running the ball pretty well all 3 games. So, but and with that being said, not only was running the ball better, we were able to throw the ball better. Watch this.
5-man front for the Panthers. Mond delivers high. Harris reels it in right past the line to gain. That's a first down in front of Lovely, and a gain of 9 yards on 3rd and 7.
And a phenomenal job by Harris. Had the 2 drops early in the game, came back and made
This is an
2
NFL
plays.
throw.
But watch
He's
this,
covered.
being able to go up 10 to 12
These are the
yards,
kind of throws you have to make.
get in and out of your
Wow.
break,
Yeah.
knowing that
I mean, the
that
defenders are
there.
there.
Pluck the football out of the air with your hands. Be strong at the catch point.
And we saw a number
Great
of
job by
plays
Jacob
like
Harris.
that.
A really nice job by
Guys
that
really
offensive
covered up
line.
2, 3, sometimes 4 defenders on them, and still putting the ball right where it needs to be. The catch being made. So there were some really good plays, offensive plays within that game where we got some really good catches.
Yeah, you saw those hands. The ball was right there. Big, strong hands, big wide receiver. He's the biggest wide receiver on the roster. Boom. I would like to see some of the other wide receivers, especially Kirkland, get more involved, and we'll show some highlights with Kirkland. It's kind of like you can tell there's a new quarterback, and Mod kind of built up that relationship with Harris during the, training camp and as we go through the season. So he's definitely now our wide receiver number one. Whereas last year, Kirkland led the whole league in targets. So we can kind of see a shift there. But
speaks to the quality of our wide receivers.
Yeah, we got a good bunch of wide receivers. We just got to give Mod some time to get the ball to him.
Yeah.
And mix up the plays. But speaking of mix up the plays, look at a pass to a running back. This is one of those things that offenses that have changed.
Just had the hot hand. Mond has two. Floats in. End zone for the touchdown. And guess who? Anthony McFarland reels in the score. And Kellerman a touchdown strike from 15 yards out.
They're throwing dice?
Looked
Well,
like
that
it. Casting
corner
lots.
is Anthony McFarland, who's going to come out and just run a corner route,
What
but
are
the
you,
safety
350
gets picked
years
off
old?
and actually hits. It
2000.
looked like his own defender may have been one of the other receivers, but he ends up on the ground.
Different
Anthony
reference,
McFarland
man.
ends up wide open. That's why you wanted 41 in the game, and that's why Peyton Pardee this week told us 41's going to touch the ball a lot in this one, both in the run game.
Anyways.
Sorry, that came out of nowhere.
I'm
sorry. I just
what a goofball.
That's
man.
what it looked like. It
Anyways,
reminded me of it. Anyway.
We got a little help on the route. The defender fell down. There was a little legal pick played there, but hey, everyone's doing that, so don't be hating on us, right? What a great TD pass. You know what else Mon did in this game that he hadn't done?
What's that?
Let's just watch it. I don't want to break it to you, but look what Mon did, which he hadn't done very well the first two games.
15 points on the board, the most they've scored this season, making the change at offensive coordinator after
He actually ran it?
He pulled the ball.
He pulled the ball and ran. Oh my gosh! I didn't think that was going to happen.
So watch what the fake does this defensive end,
incredible.
and how it creates a really easy block for the guard coming around. When Kellerman sticks the ball in the belly of the
And you know,
defensive
nobody
end cracks
expected it because he hasn't been doing it.
Nobody expected it. And then the other thing, it wasn't just that. It was some timely offensive plays. Like here is a 4th down conversion during the game. Watch this.
Brahmas will roll the dice. Mond has it. Delivers a strike in traffic just beyond the line to
That was
gain.
Kirkland showing
John
up.
Trey Kirkland hauls that pass in.
Yeah, much better on
Move
3rd
the
and
sticks,
4th
a gain
down.
of 6 yards.
And that is a football throw and a football catch. It's not a huge window.
Right
There's
there. That was one of those catches I was referring to. So many defenders around him.
Yeah, you know those. When you start getting into, we're getting into the meat and potatoes of the season, right? But the defense are getting better, the offenses are getting better. Everybody's getting more on the same page and all that good stuff. But that throw right there is as open as you're going to get with the level of skill that we have in this league on the defensive side of the ball. I was talking to our VP of content the other day. It's wild to me how many field goals we keep seeing, and you think, oh, that's bad offense. Well, not really. It's really good defense. Everyone knows that the field shrinks when you get close to the end of the red zone, get close to the goal line. You have less room, you have less space, and everything gets exemplified. So it really leads to the quality of defense, all these field goals we're starting to see. And speaking of quality defense, this is in the 4th quarter. The Panthers are driving. The Brahmas are struggling. And then this is the Brahmas team that I'm used to seeing. We had special teams getting a block. We had field goals. We had touchdown passes. And then we had exemplary defensive plays like this.
Many points on this possession makes it a 2-possession game, and it's intercepted. Jordan Williams keeps it in bounds, still on his feet, racing back the other way.
He's pretty tired right here.
And
Oh,
the
yeah,
San
he's worn out.
Antonio Brahmas right back in the mix.
Props to that man for making it.
My thing is, just look at this.
Many points on this possession makes
Look
it
at
a
the score.
2-possession game.
It's 15-23 with 4 minutes and 58 seconds. The way this clock runs, this game is all but over if they score right there. All but over. Take it back, get the touchdown, getting blocks, full defensive effort there.
Well, you know, Josh, that's an example of when it's time to make a play. You know, when you got to do something, when it's on the line, having the balls to do it.
Why did you
get it done.
Why did you get quiet when you said
The balls do it.
yeah?
Yeah, I'm just saying, he had the balls to do it. Not everybody's got that.
Are you?
Not everybody's got that.
What are you implying?
Let's just keep going.
Just keep
Josh.
going through.
Yeah, let's just keep
You'll
going.
elaborate later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let's
right.
keep going.
Well, speaking of balls, and that's as R-rated as we're going to get on the show. Oh, Chris Steele. Get it? Balls, Steele. Anyways, watch this defensive play. Hey. And they threw a flag. Try to get Dean Dumb Dino to give us a PI there.
Dean Dundino?
Dean Dumb Dino. That's what I'm calling him. I don't care what no one says. But anyways, I just
They can't throw a flag there. The feet were moving.
Yeah. Feet were moving. Yeah. Anyways, after the Brahmas got a touchdown, we also throw their 1-2 point conversion that they got in the game. So we'll kind of put that up here so we can watch that.
On moves under center. Corbin, the deep handoff. Reaching across the goal line. We are tied at 23.
So they got the touchdown return. They got the 2 point. Tied the game at 23. Tied the game at 23.
What happened next?
What happened next?
What happened?
What happened? Try not to knock stuff over,
Yeah, I know.
bro.
I'm sorry.
Just calm down,
I'm getting worked up here.
Just calm
I'm getting
down.
worked up. All right.
So the game is tied. Michigan goes down. They have a kicker that doesn't have a social media channel or a Hard Knocks type YouTube show that they're making. And he just goes out there and kicks his field goal.
Yeah.
Now let's see what the field goal kicker, who we bragged about how many followers he has on social media, did.
53-yard attempt from the right
Down
hash.
3 seconds.
De La Haye on the way. It is no good wide left.
Josh. Or bullpen.
And the
Whatever.
Panthers.
You gotta have balls. You gotta have balls. When the game's on the line, take care of stuff.
Look, man.
What happened? What happened?
Pressure virgin. That's what look, man, I'm not saying that I could make that kick, but I'm also not on YouTube telling everybody that I don't have to follow the same rules as everyone else. I get to practice when I want to practice. I get to write my own rules and all that stuff. I'll tell you one thing, dude. This is my true opinion on it. Winners get to do what they want.
Yeah.
Winners get to do what they want. Okay? So go win, and then dummies like me aren't watching TV going, man, I sure wish you would have focused more, or I sure wish you would have practiced more, or I sure wish you would have made that kick. We're getting down into the meat and potatoes of the season. We're 0-3. We go 0-4, the chances of making the playoffs go to almost zero. The rest of our team performed. We had Jordan Williams making clutch pick sixes. We had our running backs, McFarland, making clutch catches. We had Harris making catches and coverage. Kirkland making catches and coverage. Mon pulling the ball down, doing things he needed to do. Nobody played a perfect game, and I don't expect anybody to play a perfect game. But that's winning time, bro. That is winning time. That's the difference between making the playoffs and not making the playoffs. You got to bring it in winning time. Winners get to do what they want. Destroying De La Haye, you haven't proven that you are a winner. Now, you've missed 2 field goals, and both field goals you missed were shanks to the left. Practice that. I don't know what to tell you, but stop making YouTube videos.
All I can say about it is when you put yourself out there, you have millions of followers, you're on YouTube, you're on Instagram, you're on social media, and your whole presence is about kicking field goals, practicing, going through the drills, making those long kicks, and your process of getting those opportunities that you hope for. When you're actually in that situation, when you're in that opportunity, you've got a game on the line. Because of what you've done on social media, it's going to amplify.
Target, right? You put a target on it.
It's going to amplify the outcome of that kick, either for the positive or the negative. And if he would have made it, everything that he would have done on social media he could look back on that, reflect on it, and it would have been a positive. It would have been a great story. However, in this case, he missed that kick, and so now it serves as a negative to look back on and say, look what you've done, and now your whole time has led up to that situation. You missed it, and so it's a really bad situation. I hope that he makes those kicks moving forward, but it looks bad. And it's disappointing he missed it.
Yeah, it's definitely disappointing. But does that mean the season's over? No, it does not. Does that mean that we want destroying fire or something? No, we do not. All we want is for him to do his job. And I'm almost positive that he has the same thought, that he knows he needs to do his job, and he knows what was at stake in that game. And he knows he missed it. He knows it's on him. So he's going to put in a good, hard week of work this week, and he's going to get better. I'm going to tell you, like I mentioned, we're getting close to the nitty-gritty because it's only a 10-week season. But the Brahmas gave us tons of reason to be hopeful. We're not going to be out here talking about being 0-3 and the season's over, because it's not over. But we have to get better. So we've gotten better from week 1 and 2. Week 3 was night and day. I know the players are not going to give up. I know they're going to keep fighting. We're going to keep pulling for them. Look, I'm going to tell you, other creators, sometimes when their team's struggling, they stop making content.
Yeah.
We we have a strong desire to make content, win or lose, because this is the bullpen. And we do support our Brahmas. Anything else before we start talking about DC?
Just all Brahmas fans, I just echo that. We got to support them. Let's make sure when we get to the Dome, latter part of the season, back half of the season.
Where do you come up with these words? Ladder? Who uses the word ladder?
Let's support the Brahmas, okay? All right, let's move on.
Support the Brahmas in the pre-apocalyptic ladder.
Let's get on.
Where do you come up with this stuff, bro?
Let's get on with the next
Talk
part.
like a normal human being in a bar. Jeez. All right, we're gonna look into DC. First thing we're gonna do.
Never heard of casting lots or what? Let's go.
People are gonna have to Google that.
I know, probably so.
They stopped using that term in the 3rd century. Anyways, let's look at the DC's defensive line here, because we're going to have to play these guys coming up this weekend.
They go with the orbit motion, and it is absolutely blown up. Frank Darby taken down by Sam Kidd. Wilkins. There was pressure right on him as the ball is being fought for. I don't know if that was a forward pass or they're going to rule it a fumble.
4-man pressure, dude. That's impressive to get that kind of pressure onto Amu.
It concerns me. It concerns me because we haven't had the best success at stopping that pressure from getting through.
Yeah, I meant to say pressure on Williams. Sorry, I said Ta'amu. I already have my next kind of clip in my brain. Ta'amu hasn't had that great of a season passing. In fact, we've been pretty critical of him on this channel for just the total inaccuracy that he's had through the first couple of weeks. But then he just goes and says, "Bullpen, put your foot in your mouth. Watch this throw."
Couple CFP natties. Play action on 2nd and 10. Chance for a strike downfield. And right into the hands of Scott. Ty Scott. Touchdown defense.
Yeah.
We better be ready for that.
Yeah, and
We better be ready for that.
Scott's been their top receiver so far for them, and so we're going to have a tough task against DC. We're going to have a hard time against them.
It's not just passing. It's not just defense. They also have who we all thought was going to be one of the best running backs in the league, finally starting to get the traction. Hard runner. The Brahmas have struggled a little bit with stopping the run. In fact, we've struggled. We're the worst scoring defense in the league, right? Obviously, 30-plus points and 25-plus points. I mean, but we got to fight this kind of running game too.
They are. That's the hand. So go doors. Anchored down. And getting free is Abram Smith. Abram Smith. How did he get out of that?
I don't know how he got out of that, but he got out of it. That's for daggum sure. So what we're going to do now, we're just going to pop up a couple graphics, what we're calling our key stats. So these are accurate through the first 3 games of the season. So we're going to just pop up the Brahmas stats here. Our 2025 key stats. The Brahmas have scored 41 points and given up 85. We don't need to expand on that anymore, right?
I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Now, our rushing yards, 338 yards in 3 games. So that's over 100 yards per game, 5.4 yards per rush. That is very, very respectable. And that's why I was making fun of producer earlier for saying we didn't have a good running game. Anything?
No comment, man.
All right, cool. Passing yards, 441 yards. So 3 games, you do the math, right? 130 something, 140 give or take yards a game. The part that worries me is 5 yards per completion. That's pretty wild, man. Most of the time you're looking for that number to be 8, 10 at minimum, and it'd be nice if it was 12 to 15.
Yeah. Well, we're doing good as far as completing passes. We're not all that bad, but a lot of those are underneath. And so as a result, you're not getting passes deep downfield. You're getting a lot of shorter passes. They get tackled pretty quickly. Therefore, your yards per completion is pretty short compared to some of the other passes that we've seen in the league. For example, what we watched Jordan Tiamu do.
Yeah. The other stat I got up here, 2 sacks. We led the league in sacks last year. We're at 2 sacks. When we go to the DC stats, look at the sack differential. That's going to be instrumental in who wins the game this weekend. And then I put penalties in here. 32 penalties in 3 games. 10. That's double-digit penalties per game for 281 yards. You got to clean that up. And some of the penalties we had this past weekend were just at the exact worst time. On a 3rd down, on a big play, trying to drive what we needed to score to get a lead in the possession. And then, man, we'd get some kind of crazy penalty. We had some bonehead penalties where players were mad, and I do like to see the fire. I don't mind a penalty every now and then for a little pushing and shoving, some little post-play activity. I do like to see the team fighting and having that fire in them. So I'm not one of these what I call millennial football fans. These millennial football fans, they don't like big hits. They don't like people laying on the ground with the wind knocked out of them, and they don't like to see the extracurricular. Well, I'm a '90s Cowboy guy.
This ain't flag
Cowboy
football.
Fan. This ain't flag football. I'm football when they had the big shoulder pads and they would smash into each other. I put that in a group chat and they were like, "Oh, you like for players to get CTE." First of all, I'm going to tell you the technology in these helmets are way better than they were back in the day. Second of all, more people get CTE playing soccer than in football. I actually did some stats. You go Google it. But like MMA fighting is like the CTE capital of the world, and I don't hear anybody crying about a dude getting knocked out in the ring. Dude, this is competitive big boy football. Shut up, you bunch of millennial football fans, and you know who I'm talking to. The person that I'm talking to knows who I'm talking to. But anyways, we need, I like the big hits. They put Etling out of the game. Obviously, I don't want anybody to get hurt. But there should be repercussions for the quarterback prolonging the play longer than it needs to be. He should protect himself. He should go down or he should go out of bounds. That's his job. The defender's job is to hit him. Okay? That's it. I can't have nothing else to say on that. I don't want him to get hurt. But if you don't want to get hurt, play the game right.
Yeah, all I got to say about that, I agree with you as far as, balls, just playing football, getting hit. One of the things, 90s football, when I think of 90s football and tough play, I think of Emmitt Smith getting his collarbone broken and continuing
finishing
to run.
The game.
Getting back in there and continuing to pound the ball. It didn't matter. His collarbone broken. Give me the ball. Let me run it up the middle. And he did. And too many guys, I guess, today with all the big contracts, concerned about contracts, is UFL football. Get in there, run the ball, have some balls, get it done.
Twice, 2 testicle references in one episode. Testicular fortitude is what we're talking about.
That's right. That's right. I agree.
All right.
It's an old phrase.
We got our key stats in here for the DC Defenders. 62 points scored. and only giving up 38. Undefeated. Hello. Very simple, right? Rushing yards, 303. Only 3.3 yards per carry. A little bit advantage to the Brahmas, which is good for us because hopefully we'll be able to slow down their run game. Passing yards, 606 yards with 6.1 yards per completion. They got the advantage there. And our secondary is kind of banged up. The two cornerbacks that started the season for us are no longer going to. Greedy Williams has been released from the team. He got hurt. And Phillips is on IR, so he's got at least 4 more games that he's out. So we really need Mayfield and Steele to continue to play well, which they played great this past weekend. And Mayfield's been playing great since last season, so I know he can do his thing. But look at the sack numbers. Brahmas had 2 sacks, 11 stinking sacks by the DC defenders. 11.
Yeah, that's one of the key differences. And if you look at the top sack leaders in the league, if you say, let's take the top 7, 3 of those are going to be on DC. So they're really excellent on getting pressure on the quarterback, getting through that O-line. And that's one of the areas that we've struggled in. So that, to me, is what I would call, I hate to steal a reference here, so forgive me, but I'm going to use it. That's what I would call a paper pop stat. That's...
Paper pop.
Yeah.
You got any paper? Where you got any paper?
That is a stat to watch that is going to have a major factor in this game. That's something to look for.
You can paper pop.
I know.
You're going to get copyrighted on that.
I hope not.
Penalties, 25 penalties for 223 yards. So they're kind of heavily penalized as well. That's 3 games, 8 penalties per game. Not as better than the Brahmas stats, but they could have some untimely penalties. And if you remember last year when we played DC, they had some untimely penalties that actually helped us get a win over them with the whole spit gate and all that. So DC, they don't like us. We don't like them. We're going up there to the nation's capital and hopefully come back with our first dub of the season, right?
Good rivalry. Good rivalry that we got going.
So we're going to go ahead and end out the episode by doing our predictions, and we got an updated win-loss record. Sorry I didn't have all the graphics last weekend or last episode, but we got them here now, so I'm going to just go through mine, and then we'll pop up producers. So I am doing terrible. I am 3-9 for the season, but I've been picking with my heart a lot. Like, not with my head, but with my heart.
It shows.
And the Brahmas are 0-3, which I'm pretty much never going to pick the Brahmas to lose because I always feel that if a couple of plays go right, they could win. And so this week, producer's actually kicking my butt on the win-loss prediction, so we'll pop his up in a minute. But I decided, you know what? I'm going gangbusters. I'm going all upsets all week. So I picked against the favorite, the pick that everybody thinks is going to win every week. I'm either going to hit a home run or I am going to strike out. There's not going to be no singles or doubles, to use a baseball reference here. So I took Memphis to beat the Panthers. The Brahmas could have beat the Panthers, and the Memphis could have beat Houston. And I have faith. That Memphis have finally decided to go with one quarterback. And I know Michigan has decided to go with one quarterback. So this will be these are the 2 teams that have been playing that whole quarterback swap game. I think you could talk about yours when it's your turn. You be quiet.
I'm going to talk about yours in a second.
Okay, you can talk about mine when I'm done. So I got the upset in Memphis. Then Arlington, I want every Texas team to be better than every other team. So I'm going with the Texas teams when they're playing someone from outside of the great state of Texas. Any and all things, my friends. So and not to mention the GOAT, Spring King. I'm only halfway through his book. So when I'm done with this book, we'll talk about it a little bit on the episode. I've only read I don't read many books, okay? So I've actually only, other than some comic books, but I've only bought 2 books in my life and actually read them. So this is my second book, we'll talk about it later. But then I got Houston going to get the massive upset. Birmingham hasn't shown me nothing, dude. They haven't shown me nothing. Houston's got a strong defense. My boy, Aggie Great, wake him up. Leon O'Neal got that pick 6. Thank you very much. And Houston got a dub after losing 9 in a row. And I think they're going to ride the momentum. And I also think they got their starting quarterback figured out. So I think Birmingham's going to come down into Texas and go get good old Texas butt whooping down there in Houston. And then, of course, Brahmas going to D.C. I'm really picking the Brahmas because the Brahmas need this game in the absolute worst way possible. We need this game just to keep our season at a competitive level, hope alive. And then we got our first home game next weekend with Houston coming to town. We need a win so that there could be a little bit of excitement and a little bit of buzz coming home so we don't look like the stupid Memphis fans with only 4,000 in the dome. I'm done.
All right. Well, all I'm going to say about your predictions is that as you pick with your heart again, you mentioned you're going with all upsets. You're going with the Texas teams. All I'll say is the two games that I personally had the hardest time picking were Battlehawks at Renegades and Stallions at Roughnecks. Houston, I really think they got a chance with their defense. I really think that they could pull that off. And the Renegades against Battlehawks, that's another one. So if there are two upsets, I think those are the two best chances. Now looking at mine, I just think that Michigan is a much better team all around than the Showboats.
Not true.
I think they are. I'm going to look for them to have the win, especially at home. I'm going to look for the Battlehawks to beat the Renegades in Arlington. I think they're going to pull it out, largely due to both those teams have really shown a lot, but losing, I think they're going to come back for vengeance.
You do realize that the Arlington Renegades are like a few seconds away from being 3-0.
I'm telling you, just based on what I've seen, I'm going to go with. We'll see. We'll see. But my brain tells me as I watch football games that the Battlehawks are going to win.
Your brain?
Hey, for what it's worth, it's not worth much, but it's picking football games better than yours. All right, so
we'll see where we end up at the end of the year.
Stallions, I'm 95% sure they're going to win that game, but if I had to pick one that was going to get upset, Roughnecks are not a bad pick. Their defense has been excellent, and we'll see what they show up. It's going to be a home game. Of course, there won't be anybody there, but it's a home game. It's a home game, so we'll see what happens. But Stallions are going to win, and then unfortunately, I expect max effort from the Brahmas. It's going to be a great game. They're going to do some really good things there. I'm going to enjoy this game thoroughly, but DC's too much.
I can't wait.
They're going to get to Mon. Unfortunately, we looked at the numbers. They're going to get to Mon. We're not going to be able to offensively keep up with them, and we're going to lose in DC. As much as I hate to say that, I'm saying that.
I can't wait for you to shut up, but I can't wait for something else. Are you done?
That's the eyeball test, man.
I cannot wait.
That's the eyeball test.
Dude, I cannot. You're blind. Anyways, he had LASIK. I can't wait. I can't wait to be standing when the Brahmas got their first home game after they beat DC in DC, standing there talking to any of the number of players that we are fortunate enough to have contact with and just be like, hey, producer picked against you in DC. I can't wait. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, not going to happen.
Dude, you're just digging a hole deeper. All right, with that, we're going to get out of here. Thanks for watching. Remember, UnitedFootballMedia.com for written content, UFM for any and all things spring football, UFL. And we're going to get out of here like we always get out of here with a nice horns forward. Let's go Brahmas, baby.